Gulf War, all right? So this is right before the Global War on Terror. So before the Gulf War, to give some context, so 1988, the Iraq-Iran war ends in a stalemate, okay? So Iraq faces over $200 billion in war damages, forcing half of its oil revenue to go to servicing debt to their neighbors, particularly the small country of Kuwait, which has the 6th largest oil reserves in the world. All right, so now you have the scene. So we're gonna go forward a little bit, 2 years to August 2nd, 1990. Saddam Hussein's Iraq invades Kuwait. So they doubled their Iraqi oil reserves and they seized Kuwait's national banks. All right, so we can't have that happening. So we're gonna enact the first part of this Gulf War. You have Operation Desert Shield and Desert Storm. So we're gonna go over Desert Shield first right here. So Desert Shield, we form a 42 country coalition with the US, UK, and Saudi Arabia leading the charge. We launched massive logistical operations in Saudi Arabia, staging ammo, food, medical equipment, tanks, and aircraft, and 1,000 square kilometer training area. So I actually have a quote too from a young Marine who was actually there, and he describes what it was like to get the call that he was going to be going to Saudi Arabia and Kuwait. He says, I was sitting at my parents' house Tuesday afternoon when Corporal Salazar called me. Being that we knew it was on the news, I knew that it was time to give a couple of hugs, pack your stuff, and go. We had Thanksgiving dinner and reported Friday morning. Reporting in, everybody was excited. Somehow, there was one sergeant from our platoon who reported in with a broken leg. And then the next day, another sergeant reported in with a broken arm. I don't remember any corporals, lance corporals, or PFCs in our unit reporting in injured. When I became an NCO, I remember thinking back at those lessons and how I felt. I learned that I have to be willing to do it, whatever it is. All right, moving on now. We got the scene set, we got our logistics staged. We're gonna move on from Desert Shield to Desert Storm, 1991. We're starting off with an airstrike. So what we did was we took a bunch of Apache helicopters and we knocked out all their radar. So to get rid of their surface-to-air capabilities, all right? So now that that's ready, we're gonna send in all our jets, and we bombed all their airfields. So now we got complete air superiority, all right? So that's kind of the strategy going into this. We're getting ready for a ground invasion, all right? So by that time, 80,000 Iraqi infantry deserted before the ground invasion even began. However, that's not before the Iraqi military sets fire to hundreds of Kuwaiti oil wells. And I got that same young Marine has a quote about what it was like to be there when all these oil wells are set to fire. We had one NVG in our team, single scope. I remember using it at 09 to 1000 because it was black dark in the morning. Visibility was about 300 meters, and you had a constant roar of the fires in the background. You'd blow your nose and it would just be black. Not something you could train for, but use your previous training and experiences to make decisions for a new challenge. Now we're gonna get on to the ground invasion, all right? So we're ready to kind of take this thing back. Ground invasion, now you look at your map, all right? This is gonna reference what I'm about to talk about now. So pay close attention to where Saudi Arabia is and then where Kuwait is, all right? And then understand that you got Iraq. Iraq is in Kuwait. They've invaded Kuwait. They have Kuwait right now, all right? So we utilized Magruder's principle, which states that it's easier to exploit the enemy's beliefs than to alter those beliefs, okay? So our plan was to set up like we were going to assault from the south and the east, but then deliver a left hook and assault from the west, all right? So key to this was the Marine Corps and the Navy feinting an amphibious assault, firing into Kuwait City, successfully keeping 2 Iraqi divisions on the coast. This was a huge success. Iraqi forces were oriented to the south and to the east, and attacking from the west cut them off from home in Iraq. After 100 hours, just 100 hours, Iraq was allowed to completely withdraw and Kuwait was liberated. Saddam's regime, however, was still intact for the time being. All right, quick decision-making time. I got a scenario for you guys, all right? So you are General Stormin Norman. You're the commander of the coalition forces in the Gulf. President George H.W. Bush, he wants to know if we should pursue Saddam Hussein into Iraq with the goal of capturing and killing Saddam and defeating Iraq for good. All right, so keep in mind, we just defeated Iraq in Kuwait. They've now retreated back to Iraq. The question is, do you want to pursue him and invade Iraq, or do you want to just stage back in Saudi Arabia, end of the mission? All right, so raise your hand real quick. Show of hands, who would continue and chase Saddam into Iraq? Raise your hand. All right. Cool, all right. Horta, why would you continue? What's your rationale?
My rationale is that if we don't follow through, that shit is just going to come right back.
All right, so if we don't follow through, it's just going to come back and create more problems in the future. All right, cool. Now raise your hand if you think we should just retreat back. I mean, not retreat back, but go back to Saudi Arabia. We're done with the mission. It's a success. Like, don't pursue. Raise your hand if you're one of those people. All right, cool. Connor Free, you mind sharing like your rationale for that?
It can cause a whole lot of international issues if we kind of, our mission was accomplished, we kicked them out of Kuwait, where our goal was to liberate Kuwait. If we like full on invade Iraq, which is not something I think we're really prepared to do, that could cause a whole lot of problems diplomatically and militarily, logistically.
Okay, so kind of thinking like big picture, like what the effects of that could be. All right, so the point is, it's a tough decision to make. It's still controversial to this day, and we have the benefit of hindsight to kind of like analyze it, right? But ultimately, the decision we made was we did not pursue Saddam into Iraq. However, 12 years later, we did find him in a hole. He was hiding there like a coward, and he was surviving on canned tuna and beans, all right? So on December 13, 2003, American diplomat Paul Brenner gets on TV. He announces to the world, ladies and gentlemen, we got him. Then we turned him over to his people. They got him out for good, all right? So that's all I got for you on the Gulf War. Hoorah.
Hoorah.
Thank you.